HMS Captain was a 74-gun third rate of the notional Canada-class ship of the line. She was ordered on November 14, 1782, and Batson Limehouse Yard, sometimes the English is harder than the foreign languages, laid down her keel in May 1784. She was launched on November 26, 1787. Much like Orion, see previous video, probably, she had a very successful career, and as usual, go check out my video on the Canada class for stats. At the start of the French Revolutionary War, she was part of the Mediterranean fleet that occupied Toulon at the invitation of French royalists in 1793, being driven out by revolutionary troops under the command of one Napoleon Bonaparte. During this operation, she was deployed in the raid on Genoa. In June 1796, Admiral John Jervis transferred another famous character, you may have heard of him, Horatio Nelson, from Agamemnon to captain. Nelson was appointed by Jervis as Commodore of the squadron deployed off Livorno during Napoleon's march through northern Italy. I apologize if I'm having a hard time reading this. It's almost 1 a.m. after a long day. In September 1796, Gilbert Elliot, the British Viceroy of the Anglo-Corsican Kingdom, decided he needed to clear out of Capraja? If there's any Italian speakers out there, please let me know. Anyway, this place, that was a base for Genoan privateers. Nelson and the captain, along with the Gorgon I'm trying my best, guys. Venu and the cutter Rose and the 51st Regiment of Foot to accomplish the task, and will be joined by HMS Minerva. They landed on September 18th, and the island surrendered immediately. Nelson would later oversee British withdrawal from Corsica. In February 1797, Nelson had rejoined Jervis's fleet 25 miles west of Cape St. Vincent at the southwest tip of Portugal, just before it intercepted the Spanish fleet and the Battle of Cape St. Vincent, which would make both Jervis and Nelson heroes, and get Jervis his nobility and Nelson his knighthood. Again, more details on that in a different video. But for now, Nelson had realized that the leading Spanish ships were escaping and pulled an 18th century version of full speed ahead and damn the torpedoes to break out of line of battle and chase down the Spanish ships, one of which was the massive 136-gun Santissima Trinidad. This would not be the last time Nelson and this ship would cross paths. It also traded shots with the 80-gun San Nicolas, previously hit and disabled by HMS Excellent. Captain then took on the 112-gun first-rate San Josef. Any Spanish speakers out there as well? Let me know. Anyway, Nelson sailed up next to the ship, to the Nicholas, boarded it and captured it, and the San Josef surrendered before the ship could be boarded in much the same way. Again, more details is on this in a later video. Just in case you're not in vogue with HSO warships, this would be the equivalent of like a heavy cruiser sailing up and taking Yamato as a prize. Anyway, this action was later immortalized as Nelson's patent bridge for boarding first rates. I wouldn't recommend doing it too often, though. This is how he was somewhat famously injured. Anyway, back to the captain, which was severely damaged. And of the British ships, she was probably one of the most severely damaged, as she had been in the action longer than any, and conducted a rampage that would make Captain Evans of the Johnson proud. She went in for repairs and was returned to the Med on May 6, 1799, joining Captain John Markham's squadron. After the Battle of Alexandria, the squadron under Contre-Admiral Jean-Baptiste Péry, a squadron of frigates and smaller ships escaped to Genoa. Any French speakers? you know the drill. Let me know how bad my pronunciation is. On the 17th of June, the French squadron was headed from Jaffa to Toulon, where it encountered the British squadron. Markham's flagship was the Centaur, but Captain was present for the resulting action of the 18th of June, 1799, which saw the entire French squadron captured. Captain captured the 14-gun brig Alerte. You know what? At this point, I don't even think I need to say anything about my pronunciation. On November 23, 1800, under Captain Sir Richard Strachan, chased a French convoy to the Morbihan, where it sheltered under shore batteries, and the 20-gun corvette Riolace. I can't even. Magicienne, which I just was able to force the corvette onto the shore at Port Navallo, though she got off again. The hired armed cutters Nile, Lurcher, and Souro towed several boats with a cutting-out party of seamen and marines, including Lieutenant Henna, on one of the 4 boats towed by the Souro. I hope that made sense. I've lost all track of ability to say anything. Apologies again. The party landed under heavy grape-shot and muskets, but set the French corvette on fire, and eventually she blew up. Only one British seaman, a crewman of the Souro, was killed. The cutter itself was so badly shot up in the sail and rigging, the French gunnery doing its job, the captain had to tow her. The French reports say the corvette was intentionally burned. You decide. During the Napoleonic Wars in 1807, she was one of the escorts of the expedition leaving Falmouth that would attack Buenos Aires. They turned back north once the expedition reached the Cape Verde Islands. She, along with the Amaranth, Pompey, and Morn, you know what I'm going with it, Morn Fortune, in the prize money pool, the capture of the Frederick on December 30th, 1808, paid in June 1829. Morn Fortune is a ship, the 4 of those ships, including Captain, being part of the pool that received the prize money, just in case that wasn't clear. Captain took part in the capture of Martinique in 1809. In April that year, a strong French squadron arrived at the Îles des Saints, south of Guadeloupe. There they were blockaded until the 14th of April, when the British force under Major General Frederick Maitland invaded and captured the island. Captain was present for this capture. Later that year, she was put into harbor service. On March 22nd, 1813, she was accidentally burned off Plymouth in Devon. At the time, she was undergoing conversion to a sheer hulk. When it was clear that the fire, which had begun in the forecastle, had taken hold, her securing lines were cut. She was towed to a safe distance away from the other vessels so she could burn herself out without becoming an unintentional fire ship. Even so, orders were given she be sunk and launches with carronades, love to have seen that, commenced a 1-hour bombardment. She finally foundered after burning to the waterline. 2 men died in the accident. The wreck was raised in July and broken up in Plymouth. Well, I hope you found that video interesting, assuming you could sit through my terrible pronunciations, stops and starts. I did this in one take. At almost 1 a.m. Apologies. I only have so much time in the day, especially with grad school. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.